Hello, I'm Ade McCormack. My focus is on transformation. I help organizations thrive in the digital age, written a few books on disruption and worked in about 40 countries. In this Jedi session, I'm going to be talking about disruption. And specifically, I'm going to talk about what exactly that is, why it's on the increase, and how we're going to need to adapt to that. Let's go back in time. To 140,000 generations ago, our ancestor came down from the tree and waved goodbye to his chimpanzee family. If we fast forward to 72,000 generations ago, our ancestor first picked up a rock for the purposes of doing something, or perhaps someone. That was a major day for mankind because on that day we decided to augment ourselves. On that day we decided to take control of our own destiny, and on that day the technology industry was created. Since then we've seen exponential growth in terms of new technology. We've seen the wheel, the printing press, that ill-fitting exoskeleton that many refer to as a car. More latterly we've seen the desktop computer and the smartphone. In many respects, today is a cause for celebration because today is literally the fastest day we have experienced in terms of technology growth. Such is the nature of exponential growth. But by the same token, it's the slowest day we will ever experience again. So the uncertainty and volatility that we're experiencing in the marketplace is simply a warm-up act for what is to come. Now, many of us will be familiar with digital disruption. Defunct business models, career-ending automation. But few of us anticipated biological disruption in the form of COVID-19. All of us got to face disruption firsthand. And despite what the media tells you, there is no new normal or next normal. Abnormal and thus continual disruption is the backdrop to our lives going forward. Some of you will have heard of PEST analysis. This is a technique to study the macro environmental forces that impact our organization: political, economic, social, and technological. Some of you may have even heard of PESTILENCE, where legal, for example, international trade deals, and environmental, such as climate change, are considered. But I think there's something even more fundamental happening than that. I think we're experiencing pestilence. And what I mean by that, innovation essentially is raising the bar for all of us. We're all having to be innovative to meet the needs of increasingly fickle customers. And as a result, we're all in competition with ourselves and thus pushing the bar up in respect of innovation. There is a war for natural resources, and that war literally can and does lead to war. That changes the shape of the future. There's a war for cognition, also known as talent, and that is going to get increasingly acute as the definition of talent evolves into people who can do things that algorithms and robots cannot do. And then finally we have extraterrestrial, the space race, so to speak. That in itself is driving organizations and nations to behave in certain ways that give rise fundamentally to impacting the other forces I've described. Fundamentally, this is leading to a world that is highly chaotic. Now, if we look back across time, we had uncertainty, and we had uncertainty very much so up until the agricultural revolution of around 12,000 years ago, but we still had kind of uncertainty after that. The industrial era gave us certainty. And we're going into a world now where there is increasing uncertainty. Now, the thing about the industrial era is that this was a very unnatural phase for mankind. So we had to cultivate this. We had to create synthetic certainty because we needed to create the conditions where people could build factories knowing that the demand for their goods would be of sufficient duration to justify that investment. So we've kind of tamed nature, and we've done that successfully for about 300 years. But that era is coming to an end thanks to disruption and the many forces associated with it. And as we move into this next phase, it's not just going to be uncertain thanks to technologies, particularly collaborative technologies and global supply chains. We're entering the era of hyper uncertainty. So what this means is that we're back on the savannah. We're back hunting again, living by our wits. It's all about situational awareness. But it's an increasingly digital savannah as we live and work more of our lives in, if you like, the digital realm. And we'll be hearing, no doubt, more about the metaverse in the forthcoming few years. So disruption is here to stay. It is only going to increase, and you could see this potentially as a problem. But one of the key things here is that the industrial era kind of denatured us. We had to be cogs in the factory machine, and fundamentally that wasn't good for us. You know, we got some economic benefits, but we probably felt a deep sense of despair. Basically, disruption is our friend. It has come to save us. My name is Ade McCormack, and this Jedi Session has been on disruption.